You're listening to Why Germany podcast, the best place for relocation stories and expert tips, sponsored by Over the Offek, relocation agency to Germany, with your host, Levin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Levin, and this is the introduction to the podcast, Why Germany. I initially started this podcast because I am super interested in people's relocation stories. I find myself constantly, when meeting a new expat, asking those questions like, why did you choose Germany to become your country? What is it that you're missing in your home country or where you lived before? So there's so many questions that I constantly find myself asking people, and I see that others are also super interested. So this is basically the initial idea where it came from, and I want to tell you a little bit about what is it you're going to be expecting in this podcast. So first of all, we always ask the question, why Germany? And here's really where we try to get an initial understanding of what are the motives that people choose Germany for as a country, and basically get a glimpse into what is coming from the actual story. Afterwards, we dive deeper into the background of where the people came from, what is it that brought them into this decision, what were the factors that were playing in this decision, and then what happened when they joined or when they came to the country. A lot of it would be stories of struggle, stories of challenges, story of things that are happening to so many people. And this is really not the place to come and show you this is a wonderland or this is an amazing country that has no challenges. It's really to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. So just so you know, I ask all of my participants and guests to not beautify anything or to not make sure that people relocate to Germany. This is not the point. The point is really for you to understand what is it holding? What happens? What is the reality of people coming to Germany? So obviously there are a lot of good things because so many people are still coming here. But we are learning from what happened to other people and how did they overcome the challenges, because relocation is something that you always have challenges in. So this is really for you to also understand how you can do it the way that fits you, and how can you basically learn from others how to not go into those bad places. And at the end, I normally ask for a tip for newcomers to Germany. So this is a place where you will learn one good tip about how to make this process maybe a little bit better or a little bit easier. I am also an expat in Germany. I came to Germany in 2017 in November with my husband. We relocated from Israel and immediately landed in Leipzig. So I want to share with you my story because here also lies some knowledge and some experience that might be beneficial for you. It all starts from me being in the age of 17, deciding that I don't want to stay in Israel anymore. There were several factors that contributed to this decision. During this time, there were protests about the economic situation in Israel. And part of the comparison in prices was from Israel to Berlin, or from Tel Aviv to Berlin, actually. And you could see really the differences in pricing, and it was major differences. So that sparked the idea of coming to Germany. Already there was a huge movement from Israel to Germany at that time. And I had to go through the army. I had to go through university first. And this is where I met my husband. And when I met him, I told him, okay, just so you know, if you want to continue dating me, I am going to leave the country. If you want to jump in and come with me, then we can go on our first date. And he said yes. So that worked out. So when I finished with my army service, this was our time to decide what is it we want to do and where do we want to go. My husband wanted to go to Canada because of the language, and I wanted to go to Germany from being 17 years old until then. And I was in the process of getting a Romanian citizenship through my grandparents. So they were born in Romania, but they needed to come to Israel. And so we began with the understanding of what is the process of relocating to Canada. We met with a relocation specialist in Israel, and she laid out the plan for how to do that. And basically it works, or at least it worked then, with a scoring system that you get based on things that you've done in life, such as academic studies and so on, and how old are you, and if you're married or not. And you get somewhat of a score at the end. And then if the bar is below the scoring that you got, this is your chance to apply for a visa. And for a while, we did not go above the bar. So we waited for a couple of months. We saw that really there is no chance for us to get a visa at that point. And I was in the process of this EU citizenship. So we decided, okay, let's start looking towards Europe. And so it was a whole elimination process. We started really looking at different countries and different cultures, and we started to decide what is important for us and why are we choosing the country that we're choosing. So I was really looking at Finland, and we're like, well, we're not so good with the language. How about not going there? Norway, we were like, okay, the weather is really not for us. We come from Israel. We are not looking to go deep into winter times. And eventually we landed on Germany, and we said, okay, we have to explore more. And we want to see if this is really something we are aiming for, and this is what we want to do. So we booked a flight for Munich, and beforehand we scheduled some appointment with people that lived there, some Germans, some non-Germans. And we said, okay, we really want to ask you so many questions. Would you please have an hour or 2 hours with us? And we always went to like a cafe or a restaurant, and we obviously bought their foods and drinks just for having the opportunity to listen and learn from them. And so we had all the questions that we wanted to ask about the country, about the culture, and we really laid out all the questions. We did not leave any stone unturned when it comes to our decision. Do we really want to live here? And after this process, after this visit, we decided Germany really sounds like a great place, and we want to start the process. But now we need to understand where in Germany. And so this was another elimination process that we started, although I kind of liked a tiny city called Tübingen. This is where we spent some of our time when we were in Germany. And so we started seeing around what are the cities that might match what I liked about Tübingen. And then accidentally, we stumbled upon a video from a YouTube channel that we learned German from. We basically, by accident, stumbled upon a video that was in a channel that we used for learning German. And his video was something about why do people move to Leipzig, what is great about Leipzig. And he really laid out like the weather, the amount of people, and the fact that it's being developing, and what is the kind of people we can find, and the nature and so on. And so we started also asking around, going to all those Facebook groups, meeting with people that lived there or used to live there, and asking them again all those questions that we had, and really made sure that this is the kind of city we want to live in. Eventually, we decided that Leipzig would be our destination. And we said, okay, we don't have the time and money to go yet now to see Leipzig and for deciding if we want to move there. And so we decided that we are going to have a leap of faith, and we're going to start right with the relocation there. And if we don't like it, we might as well just find a different city from within Germany. It's most likely going to be easier. So really, we found an apartment in Leipzig, a temporary one from Israel. And we decided upon a date that we want to move. And that was based on when did our apartment contract ended. And so we had a date, we had a flight, we had everything already settled and taken care of. And we jumped in. We had a one-way ticket to Leipzig, basically to Berlin, but we moved to Leipzig immediately. And we really loved Leipzig, although it might not have been the smartest to come in November, especially not from Israel, but we still really loved it. We loved every part of Leipzig, even in the winter, and mostly in the spring, which is my favorite time. And until now, we still live in Leipzig, and we really understand that it was a lot of luck that we still live here and that we really liked it. It matches us perfectly. I mean, I know there are a lot of other cities that could really be great for other people, but specifically what we were looking for, which is a place for music, a place for many cultures and internationals, a place for a lot of nature within the city, places that you can be in peace and quiet, and places where you can still celebrate and have parties and have people and, a lot of noise when you need it. It's not as big, it's not as small. A lot of things that you need, you can find here. I barely find myself leave the city because I don't feel like I need to. So there are a lot of things that are really great about Leipzig. And one of the things that I want to share with you when it comes to our relocation process was, first of all, the fact that we came with some German already was very useful. So we knew around 9 months before we relocated that we are going to relocate to Germany. And we started already learning German. So it was with Duolingo, it was with Babbel, it was with YouTube channels, it was with Facebook. So there were many ways that we used, even like a private tutor for a while, to start learning the language before coming here. It was very useful, although we were not fluent. We are still not fluent, let's go with that. But it was very useful since you come to Germany, it's already overwhelming. You hear a language constantly that you don't know or it's foreign to you. And you're still learning a lot of new stuff, how to go about with the public transportation, with the new apartment, with the food. It's really a lot. So when you understand a little bit already, it's very useful. And also, one of the things that I've put in focus right at the beginning was finding people that we can rely on, right? So it's not really friends, okay? It takes a while to find actual friends, but people that you already have some connection to, that if you need some help when it comes to the language or to find something or to find help or find, doctors, that was really useful to already have some connections. Really on the first week, we started meeting with people just so that if we need to do some bureaucratical stuff in German or whatever it is that we need, we will have some support. That was very useful, and I really recommend that. So we even created some connections before coming through Facebook groups. Now there are Telegram groups. Now there are many ways to find people that already live there in the location where you're at, or when you're aiming to, and just already start creating conversations just so that when you land, you might have somebody already that you can book coffee time with them. That was very useful. Something that was very challenging from our perspective, it was very challenging because bureaucracy in Germany is, we call it bureaucracy. It's a very good word. And we, as I mentioned, I had Romanian citizenship. In the process. When we came here, it was not yet ready. I didn't have the confirmation from Romania still. We knew it's going to happen, but we didn't know how long it would take. Eventually, it took 2 years, but in total. But when we came, it was already a year after the process started. So we thought, okay, we most likely are going to get it at some point. So we took a visa for 1 year. It's called a working holiday visa. Not everybody can have it, but never mind, for a different story. But we basically had this visa for 1 year, and we could work for 6 months of that year. And so we came in November. It started in November, the visa, and it ended in November, which was exactly when I received the confirmation that I have the citizenship, the Romanian citizenship. So on paper, it was supposed to be all good and fine, but Germany wanted to see passport. So for them, the fact that I have an actual document from Romania saying that I'm a citizen, that was not enough. So they wanted to see a passport or an ID. Because I don't live in Romania, I cannot get an ID. I could get a passport. And that was in the process. And so they said, we are going to prolong your visa for me and my husband until you get this passport and we're done. And so we were like, sure, fine. This visa had to constantly be prolonged. But as long as they say it's indefinite until I get the passport, that's fine. I had a problem on the Romanian side, and that took roughly 1.5 years until I finished it. And mind you, that was during COVID even. So obviously everything was slower than it should have. So because of a problem that I had with the Romanian side, we kept on going to the foreign offices in order to prolong the visa. And roughly 1 year in, the woman there decided that she's not going to prolong our visa anymore. Just like that. She just like, nope, this is not going to happen anymore. That was, if I remember correctly, around November. And she said, no, you have now a visa until February and I'm not prolonging it anymore. And I'm like, but I still have the citizenship. It's there. It didn't go anywhere. What is it? I tried to explain to her, look, there was a problem in the Romanian side. It takes longer and it's not because of me. I don't have anything to do with it. And I'm fucked because of that. And so she didn't want to listen. And I had to hire an attorney to basically communicate with the foreign offices. The attorney said, I don't even know why you still get a visa since you are legal in Germany. You have citizenship. The fact that you don't have a passport does not mean a thing. And so we really, there's nothing you can do. It's still working with the woman from the foreign offices. And yeah, so basically the attorney, she sent letters from her side saying, hey, you cannot just stop their visa anymore. But that did not help. And again, it was COVID. We were on lockdown. We couldn't really do much. And then I got a letter around April. So it was after the visa was expired. I got a letter from the foreign offices saying, this is a letter before deportation. So just so you know, you're in the process. That was a horrifying day. It was really, my heart dropped to the floor with how scared I was. Because it did not make sense whatsoever. And I immediately called my attorney. I was like, really, that's what I just got. Please tell me they're not going to deport me. And so she was like, there's no way they're deporting you. This is illegal. Like, you are legal in Germany. There is no way they're going to deport you. But it was like, it was a heavy feeling. I did not sleep well at this time. You can imagine. And she sent another letter. I don't know what it was in. I couldn't care less. But a couple of weeks after, we both received a new visa. So luckily, a couple of months after, I already had my passport and we did not need to prolong the visa anymore. And we could just really settle down and finally breathe, finally start really thinking about where we're taking our life to. But that was a huge, huge relief at that time. This whole process was so heavy on me. I really did not like any part of it. And the fact that I had to continue to go to the foreign offices alone and just seeing her face of like, nope, you're not getting another visa. And you kind of think, what did I work for? And what's happening now? Everything that I have now, it was already 2-3 years in that we were here. What's going to happen to me? COVID, like what's happening? So it was like so confusing, so scary. And I could imagine that if it would have happened to somebody that couldn't afford the attorney, they most likely would have just dropped everything and left. So sometimes those bureaucratical procedures that are so daunting and so like, not looking left and right, because if she knew the law when it comes to EU citizens, it wouldn't have happened. She is actually handling mostly those who are non-EU countries, those from non-EU countries. So she was insisting on doing what she knows, although it's not really valid there. So I can happily say that that is no longer a problem, and we're now breathing really well when it comes to this particular part of our life. So as I mentioned, there's so many challenges sometimes. It can really depend on the person and what it comes with, the documentation and whatnot, political situations and so on. So there are a lot of factors that can be helping or really not helping with your relocation process. The important part is to be aware, to be knowledgeable, to hear stories, to hear what others can help you with. And those experiences can really bring some ideas into how to solve problems. And that is the whole point of my podcast and all of those episodes you're going to hear with so many wonderful people who are sharing their stories, and also some people who have knowledge. So some experts are also going to join our podcast and give you some advice from an expert point of view, how to do so many processes when it comes to living in Germany or relocating to Germany. So it's really worth going and hearing those podcasts really carefully. Maybe bring even a note and like a pen with you, because there would be some very great tips that you might want to know. So I am really hoping that you're going to like the podcast. Please make sure that you give us some comment and feedback so that I know what kind of topics are interesting for you, what kind of people you want to hear their stories from, what are the knowledge that is lacking that you need in order to do this leap of faith and just come to Germany and do the relocation that might really change your life. So your feedback and comments would be very valuable. So please make sure that you write them. I am looking forward for you to hear all of the podcast episodes that I've already booked. And if you are actually an expat in Germany already for longer than 2 years, please write to me and we will book an interview with you. So I will see you in the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Why Germany. If you want to learn more about relocation, make sure to visit overtheoffek.com, your relocation experts.